and it's important for you to understand as you prepare for the board, but more so for practice, right? Because when we talked about psychoanalytic, it is known to be one of the core principles in psychiatry, right? And you would know this because you've seen this in nursing school and you've seen this on your master's or your doctor's program. And as I mentioned yesterday, anything that you've seen during your BSN or your master's program in both um, courses or degrees, it's likely that will be on the board because of the core, right? And one of the things is Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory, right? It won't be in depth, but I wanted to go over a little bit more than we did yesterday in class. One, because we see this in practice all the time. Two, because you will see this on the board. And three, because I'm not sure if I misspoke yesterday. I might have. And then we had a little bit more of a discussion after most of you guys left yesterday that I was able to uh, provide a little bit more detail. But then I went to sleep and I was like, wow, I wish I would have covered a little bit more on this. So today is a Kahoot game. But before we go into the Kahoot, I wanted to spend 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes on this so that way I can answer any question. And if you're still not 100% sure, let me know. If you need this presentation or this part Microsoft Word that I just put in here today, all you have to do is send me an email. This is not exactly part of the course, but you can send me an email. I can send this to you. So there is no need to take pictures and everyone can have it. It's not necessarily part of the course. But again, I think it's important for practice, and you might see one or two questions about this specifically topic. And that's my email here. So if you have questions, you can always send me an email and I'll answer them to you anytime. That being said, for the course as well, if you are enrolled in the course, always send me an email. We have 10 different inbox on social media, and I want to make sure I can serve you the best I possibly can. So if I get a message on Instagram, I may not be able to get to you right away. You send me an email, I'll try to get to you within 24 hours.
Can we
Someone
get,
have a question there?
can we get
Go ahead.
the Kahoot pin? Is
Yes,
there?
yes, it will be a Kahoot pin. But just before we get started with Kahoot, I want to go over this topic, and then we'll switch to Kahoot because I don't have a pen yet. I have to start the game.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Dr. Lopez,
Yes.
I passed my test today.
Woohoo! Hold on,
What?
because let me see here.
Yeah.
Who am I
Congratulations.
speaking with here? Oh, okay. Hi. Well, I am so excited.
I passed
Congratulations.
it today on first attempt.
Congratulations.
I
Thank you
mean,
so much.
when I say this brings me chills, I mean your victory.
Wow.
It's like a dopamine hit that I need to wake up. By the way, it's super early here. I'm in South Korea. It is 7 in the morning. Not super early, right? But I mean, those kind of news, it just makes me like I get goosebump. I mean, this is like exciting because I, you know,
That's
it's it
amazing.
is it is the most important test of your life, and I don't take that lightly. Like I get emotional because it's so important to you that you do well, and I just hate when people don't really give it all because it's the most important thing. You did your BSN, you did your master's, your doctor's degree, and now you have this one little task between you and your happy place where you belong. And now you crossed the bridge. So welcome to the PMHNP board certified. I am super excited. So,
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to you. Thank you for
oh,
creating a community. You are not just teaching
yes.
us, you are creating a community. We are leaning on each other. I've learned a lot from everybody, like the questions they post on WhatsApp. Like we have easy access to you. We can email you, we can text you, you respond to us promptly. I just want to say thank you, and God
Oh
bless
my
you.
God. I
You
know.
too.
I
Yeah,
thank you
God
for.
bless you too.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Thank you for showing up today, and we see this more and more, right? So there is something else that I'm really like every night I go to sleep and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could have done this more. So I'm creating this other course that's gonna be free for you guys. It's free for everybody that's already joined us. You know, it's like not going to be free for others. So if they are late on the game, they may have to pay, but it's totally worth. It's called clinical psychology, psychiatry. So once I complete the course, I'm going to enroll all of you guys for free.
Thank
Basically, I'm
you, sir.
going to present cases where we'll not only discuss medication, but how to deal with those cases. It might
Thank
be
you,
100
doctor.
cases I'm building. So all of you guys' emails that I've been collecting and it's part of the course, it'll be transferred. So you start off and, there's another $300 course for free. I mean, because exactly that, exactly what you said, is building a community. It's not, I don't want to be cynical and say this is not, oh, so is everything free? No, but I really try to give as much as possible for free because of the community, right? I have employees, I have a company that I have to run, but as much as I can give, I don't really care. I care that we're building a community, and I care that you guys are successful, and that brings me pleasure. And it's one of those things that I'm like, okay, I'm helping, and that helps me feel better about
It's
myself.
a,
So
a
it's a
Dr.
dopamine.
win-win, right?
Lopez.
So
Yes.
Dr. Lopez.
let me just say one thing, then I will leave. Guys, I just want to encourage you. If you can go through the modules, because the questions is based on what you know, like what is the best thing to do. You have to be the judge of the matter. It's not about
Yes.
practicing question. You are in, they will give you a scenario and they will say what is the safest decision to take. So
Okay.
when you understand the content, you will be able to attack the question rightly. The question are doable, but you have to think. They are all
Which one did
critical
you do?
thinking.
Is it this one, ANC, the one that we are
ANCs.
doing? Okay, the ANCC. Okay, that's
Yes.
the one.
So
Yes. Go
we
ahead.
are on
Go
the
ahead.
right track. We are on the right track. And
Yeah.
I
Yes.
would not trade this course for anything.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you.
You nail it, right? And that's why I say when we do a module, stop and get the PDF. Now look at the PDF. Put your finger on it anywhere in the PDF. Close your eyes and get a topic and say, let's say schizophrenia. From your memory, what can you remember about schizophrenia? Because this is an act of recall. I active recall is more important than passive. Passively, I am giving to you, but I need you to dream about it, look at it, and be like, "Yes, I got it," and feel good about it. As you walk in a test center, you will be unstoppable, right? It's
Can I
it
can
it,
I
it
ask?
yes.
Oh,
Go ahead.
can I ask you? Was this the first time?
Yes,
Was
sir.
this?
This is my first steps. I started
This
with
one is your last.
Dr. Lopez this last December, and I did the modules like 3 times. I have like 4 exercise books. I did the modules. I sat down with the 30 days training. I did all the modules, and when I finished, I went back to crash course, and I have like 3 notebooks for each time I go over it. I keep writing stuff down. That was I'm
Okay.
not like a question bank person. I did the question bank, but that's not the way I study.
Mm-hmm.
But I focus mainly on the modules. I did the modules over
Yeah,
and over and over and over again.
that was my next question to ask if you had written notes while you were doing the modules, like I am doing right now.
Like
Yeah,
I have
you
like
have to.
four exercise books for each. Like each time I go over it, I will bring out a new exercise book. Hey.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Dr.
this is this
Lopez, I
is.
was to do my own yesterday, but they rescheduled it that the weather was bad. I was
Oh, you're
moving.
about to test yesterday.
I was to do it yesterday. I drove 1.5 hours. In fact, with
Oh,
the snow, I drove like 3 hours. Then
Oh
I went
no.
Oh my God.
because I was reading. I didn't see the email they sent me that
Oh,
they
okay.
rescheduled it because of the weather. So
Th- Yeah, but Betty, you are answering the questions. You are unstoppable. I have no. I'm sorry you had to drive that 3 hours,
Eddie,
and
what
that's
yes,
state are you
painful.
from?
huh?
What state are you from?
Virginia.
Okay.
Mm. I went.
Yeah.
I'm in Chesterfield. I now drove to Chesapeake,
Oh, okay.
1.5 hours. But the snow took me like 3 hours to drive down.
Oh,
Sorry about that. The
No
inclement
problem.
weather
All
can get
things
on our
work
way.
together for good.
Dr. K.
Yes.
Thank
Hey,
you for
so
sharing such great news.
yeah,
It
so
was
thank you for
really
sharing. So
inspiring.
we had Lisa, everyone was there. So I had Lisa, Lara, Luther. We had like about 7, 8 people that passed. I mean, there was so many emails that I received in the last
Thank
7
God.
days, and you
Yeah.
guys are killing it. I only play a small part of it. It's only a little bit that I do. You are the
Don't
solution.
be so humble, doctor.
No. I mean, I provide the content and I provide my time, and that's valuable, very valuable. I get it, but without you, exactly what she said she takes notes and she pays attention to the class. So the class can be done online at your own comfort, right? So we don't have meeting live is great, and I enjoy that myself a lot, but in reality, it can all be done online, right? So it's about, and I do it in small content so that I don't overwhelm you, and I show you one topic at a time because we have over 100 videos there. I don't want to overwhelm you. It's one thing, 100% of attention each time, and maybe a 10-minute video. And all what I want you to do is look at it and write it down and love the content. Because if you love anything you do it good. I don't care if it's making pizza, cleaning house, washing cars, anything that you love, you do it good, right? And you feel proud of it. And that is the essence of being successful in anything you do. And I don't care what kind of business you are and what you do. If you feel proud of what you're doing, it just it flourish, right? So she did everything absolutely the best way possible. Is writing down, taking your time. Don't rush through the process. Passing the board is the outcome, but what you bring out of this course is much bigger than passing the board. It's your knowledge that now you feel like more empowered to practice and be like, I'm not afraid to practice. Passing the board is true, is what I want and what you want, but there is so much more that will come after that. So much more that we may not even realize now. And what she said is the community, right? The peers that we made through this course, our friends, and we become friends for life. I help people get jobs, some of them after the course. I help them with clinical support, and I don't charge for none of this because this is part of the community. That's the bigger portion. We start with the course, but there is a much, much bigger thing behind this, right? So it's not
How
just
many help
selling
you
you
do
something.
ECT when
Yes,
you learn?
yes, yeah, and that's another example. I said, develop an ACT program, and before I open to the public, those you guys will be the first ones, right? So I want to give you the piece of the cake first before anybody else, so you can start thriving and helping others. It is a much bigger movement than just a course, right? So, but anyways, and I'm so sorry. Omedate, I butcher your name. I'm so sorry. But I am so thankful for
Yeah,
all of you
almost.
guys are really coming over here and encouraging others. And this is what I really love about the community, right? We are nothing alone. No, none of us, but together we can make movement, we can make things happen, we can change legislation, we can change laws, we can make things more appropriate for patients and for ourselves. So as a community, as we build this community, we can do so much more. So thank you for stepping in and giving you encouragement. This is very powerful. I'm super beyond thankful for your time, for sure.
Thank
Okay,
you, sir. Yeah. Bye.
absolutely. All right, so
Thank
guys,
you for
let's get
sharing. That's encouraging. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
Thank you. Sir.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you. You
so
guys are
let's
next. Don't worry.
All righty. We are on it, starting on a good note today. So yesterday when I went to when we finished the class, and I was like, did I misspoke on something? I don't know if I did or didn't, but I love the conversation that we had after the class. So that I couldn't stop thinking about it. And it's like, well, I gotta talk about the father of psychoanalytic a little bit more. So it's unusual for today's event. Usually I go right into questions, but I won't take a whole lot of time. Okay, I promise you. So when do we talk sigmoid, right? Sigmoid, Freuders, whatever right pronunciation you want to call it.
Sigmund
I love
Freud.
it. Sigmund Freud. Here we go. You know, I have a t-shirt, I have notes, I have all kinds of things of this guy because it's known as the father of psychoanalytic. So if you have your mic on, kindly mute it for now. Basically, it's complex, right? Because it's all about the unconscious mind. If it's unconscious, we don't know it's happening. If we don't know it's happening, how can it be a problem? Because we don't know it's happening, right? In order to be a problem, and yesterday we talked about motivation therapy, the patient needs to say it is a problem in order for them to accept a solution, right? So here how it goes. Unconscious mind. The concept is that there is a significant portion of our mental life that occurs and we are not aware of it. It's unconscious. It contains the suppressed memories, desires, and conflicts that influence how we behave.
Is this the module 4 PDF that you're going over?
No, no. I'm gonna give you guys this if you want to. Email me if you want to. This is something that I prepare like few minutes before the class today.
Oh,
So why is this important? Well, it's a concept that we are not aware, and that kind of affects our true motivations behind our actions, right? And as you've seen it before, this is where the id, ego, and super ego comes from. So the id is like me, right? It's I want this now. I don't care how, and I don't care what society thinks. I want this now, me. The ego is more like, hey, the personality that operates with reality principle. It's kind of like between me, the id, and the external world. So it's like in the middle. And the last part is the superego, which is like what my parents would say about this, right? Is the standard. What society would think of me if they knew this, right? So it's like very moral, right? It's like, would you steal a dollar? No, right? Or maybe if somebody's not looking, I don't know. But what society would say if you did? So it kind of a little stares, right? Me, the id. Oh, I want this. Oh, yes, I want this. The ego is the personality that operates in a, is this really a reality principle between, is this how I want people to see me? And then there is a bigger version of that, which is a superego. It's like, what society you would say if they knew I'm doing this? What my parents would think of me, right? So there is that. So the dynamic interactions between the three of them is a constant interact, right? Because at times it can be about the id internally. I may never say it to others. Oh, I want that, right? But it's not moral or ethical. And there is this conflict among them that can lead to distress. How many people we have seen, or I have seen my patients or some patients feeling guilty for watching something that society may not necessarily approve, or very, it's funny because I have a set of clients, about 8 of them, patients, and they're all lawyers. This is super funny because I actually have to do some research on this. All lawyers, and they're all defense attorneys. And I'm like, why do I see so many lawyers? Well, because they are defense lawyer attorneys, and what they have to deal with is pure PTSD. How? Well, they're dealing with a lot of people that did the most horrible things to children, right? They have to look at the data. They have to look at the phone. They have to look at the pictures. So there is this huge conflict, right? So between what they see in society and defending all those individuals, it could be very traumatic, right? So, anyways, and then we talked about yesterday the psychosexual development, right? And this is important for the board. This too, the id, ego, and superego, because we've seen this in nursing school, right? Here we looked at the psychosocial. Yesterday we talked about the developmental stage, the personalities develops through a series of psychosocial stage. The oral, pacifiers, bottle,
Where you can't go
sucking
now?
on a field, sucking on a finger, whatever.
For this
I
school.
know someone has a hot mic there, kindly. I know there is the bowel control, the phallic stage, the highest yield for the board, self-discovery, sometimes even called masturbation, not like adult masturbation, as we mentioned. Very important. Latent, nothing happens. I'm playing with my friends of the same sex. And the gender, now we start to grow a little bit more towards adulthood and mating and things like that, right? Then we talked about a little bit the impact of early experience, right? That believes the experience during those stages, particularly the conflicts that are unresolved, things that happen in childhood, can have a last impact on our lives as adults. Now, here comes to the second part that we talked about yesterday that I want to emphasize a little bit more the difference between three of the defense mechanism, right? So when do we say the ego use the defense mechanisms to protect itself from anxiety and conflicts, internal conflicts? Even I truly believe that even the most horrible person, they still have internal conflicts. They're not all bad. Even the most angelic person, not the most, but I would say even those that have never, ever, ever done anything bad ever, if there is such a person, they still at some point thought about it, maybe not have acted on it. So there is always conflict. I don't think there is all good and all bad. So there is this conflict in our minds whether they act on it or not, right? So the defense mechanism, that is where it's coming from, to protect itself from anxiety caused by the conflict between the id, ego, and the superego. Now, I want to talk about few defense mechanisms and highlight ones that I may have, I don't know if it's true or not, I may have misspoken, or if I didn't, at least I want to clarify. So there is a denial. This one's pretty easy. Oh, nothing's happening. This is not true. Refusing to acknowledge an external reality or emotion, right? Example, a person with substance abuse problem insisting that, hey, I don't have a problem. If that's the case, which stage they would be on the pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance? If they say, I don't have a problem, they would be at
Pre-contemplation.
pre-contemplation. Okay, perfect. Now, where the confusion may have happened, one of the words that we talked about, it was repression. This is unconscious. And this is the key word. He is unconscious because it's unconsciously blocking unacceptable thoughts, feelings, or impulse from our conscious awareness. Okay. So I want you to write it down. Defense mechanism repression, because this one is a high yield, and that the where we get confused is it conscious or unconscious. So no, this is unconscious. An adult having no memory of the childhood abuse, but it's not that you're suppressing. This is a repression, unconscious. Okay, projection. We talked about projecting on someone else, so attributing one's own unacceptable thoughts and feeling towards another person. Okay. So a person who is angry, accusing someone else of being angry. So a projection. Okay. Displacement, kind of close to that. So redirecting emotion from original source to a less threatening one. So getting angry at your family member after a bad day at work. Sounds almost like marriage, right? We get angry at the spouse for something else that happened at work, and it's like some people displace the anger towards the one that's closest to them, right? So a little bit of a that happening. Now, remember when they said repression, unconscious? So guess what now? Regression is another word that often comes together. It's reversing to a earlier stage of life, usually, right? So what I see on the books all the time is an example of crawling like a feet in a fetal position on the floor crying, right? So that will be a regression. Example, an adult throwing throwing a temper tantrum when frustrated. So it's kind of regressing. We see this a lot on balling up in the fetal position. Okay. Number 6, we have rationalization. So creating a seamless logical explanation why this happened to justify the unacceptable behavior. Oh yeah, but this is why. Saying I failed the test because the teacher doesn't like me, instead of admitting to not studying. High yield, high yield, high yield sublimation, right? Channeling unacceptable impulse into a societal acceptable behavior. So this is so high yield that anyone can give me a different example of this. Create one for me.
For which one?
Sublimation.
So I can give you an example.
Go ahead.
So we had a lady that lost her child during like a gunfire episode or
Perfect.
something. So she was upset about that, grieving. So she turned that anger into advocacy for gun violence. So she
Beautiful.
turned it to something positive. So she advocated for
Beautiful. Yeah.
the sublimation.
Yeah. This is like top 10, right? The best example I could ever think of. Exactly what she said. I could not have said it better. This is perfect. So thank you for the example. It worked. So expressing aggression towards taking an unacceptable emotion, transforming to a acceptable emotion. So other ones that we see often in tests, or someone that died of an overdose, and now the mother goes out to support uh, giving medications or stopping drug abuse and things like that, right? And
Giving-
go ahead. So let me
I was
highlight
going to
this
say
one.
another example of sublimination was like what you just said, like a mother that lost a son to overdose now does speeches for high schools on drug abuse.
Yeah, we see that all the time, gun violence, right? Because it's very realistic, but no sublimation for sure. We talked about reaction formation yesterday, right? Let's say if a criminal sets fire in a building, and instead of doing the act, now he becomes a fireman. So behaving in a way that's opposed to one's true feelings. Intellectualization, avoiding the emotions by focus on intellectual aspect of the situation. Someone that's been diagnosed with cancer. Well, let me look at all the research and the possible treatments and possible medications, right? So discussing the statistics of a terminal illness instead of expressing sadness. Now, here is the one that I really want to talk about the most, other than sublimation, is suppression. Here it's conscious. I'm not going to think about the thing that happened because it's unpleasant. I'm not going to think about the rape, right? For example, versus so here I wanted to highlight these two. So suppression, conscious versus repression, unconscious. So there are tons of defense mechanisms, but I can almost guarantee you that repression, suppression, and regression, if I were to make a test, I would put all those three in the same answer choice, A, B, and C, because people tend to confuse those, right? So back to suppression, consciously. This is the key difference between regression, which is unconscious. So a person who received bad news choosing to not think about it during a work meeting and to address those feelings later in the day if they want to, right? Now, why is this important? Because it's really things that happen in childhood or even during adulthood that can come back later in life. It's the foundation of personality, according to this theory. Emphasize the critical role of early childhood experience in shaping who we are as adults, right? Few aspect of the theory, just want to go over real quick. The goal of psychoanalytic is to bring those unconscious conflict into reality. Hey, maybe I act this way because X, Y, and Z happened during my childhood. I never thought about it. I didn't even think about it. It was unconsciously submerged in my conscious mind.
It was
Right?
unconsciously suppressed or
Suppressed.
repressed, right?
Repressed. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Repressed. So now techniques used, we can do free association, dream analysis, and analysis of transfer. Not super high yield, but those things of the mechanic defense mechanism, suppression, conscious, regression, sublimation, dispersing bad emotions towards a good thing, regression, crawling like a fetal position to an early stage, an example. And lastly, repression here, right? Oh, unconsciously blocking. All right. So this was fast and sweet. So now we are about to start our Kahoot game. So let's go ahead and stop that. I'll give you the ping and we can get started. Okay. So let me log in. Hopefully this was helpful. Kind of go over the father of psychoanalytic a little bit more. Sigmund.
Is
right?
it the same thing as psychodynamic? Are they the same psychodynamic? Because it's psychodynamic to is Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, some people call psychoanalytic, psychodynamic, right? It depends of terminology, but it's more called psychoanalytic.
Okay.
But at least I call it more psychoanalytics than anything.
Okay.
I have a quick question. What about
Sure.
what's a good example for projection?
All right. Can someone answer that?
I can.
Go ahead.
It's someone who is cheating on their husband or cheating on their wife, who
Perfect,
accuses their wife or husband of cheating
Mhm.
because they, yeah, exactly.
Projection, yes, that's it.
Yeah. But that's very close to displacement too, right? Redirecting emotions from original source to well, not really, but
Well, this
projection.
No, displacement is
I wanna say-
a lower, maybe to a lower helpless person, maybe helpless
Yes.
object. That is
Less
wanna say-
threatening.
I
Yes.
want to say a good example of
projection, you are doing it. Like
Yeah.
I am cheating on my husband and I accuse my husband that he is cheating. That is
Yeah.
projection.
I want to say a good
Go ahead. 1 second.
Or that
Go-
displacement is using your anger for a helpless
Kicking
your
like
dog.
kicking my dog.
Yeah.
When
I'm angry at my wife, so I abuse my dog or my children.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's a displacement. Think of a transfer of energy. Perfect. These are common example too, right? So let's go ahead and let me go into my library real quick. So today we're going to cover things that we actually talked about yesterday. So it should help you come back with oh my god, I still have this open. 1 second, because it takes a ton of time to create those Kahoots, and sometimes might be like a basically like one character more, and they will not allow me to post it until that's corrected. So on the Kahoot game, it is a different type of game because you get points from being fast and you get points from being correct. Okay, so if you have never played the Kahoot, let me know. I can walk you through it. Okay, so I'm sharing the code right now. Can you guys see it?
We can see it.
Yes, yes, it's there, 488302.
Okay, so those that have played the game, go ahead and help those out. I'm coming back in 5 minutes, allowing people time to log in, and then we'll get started. Okay, 1 second, guys.
Can you please, teach me how to get in?
What's the code?
If you input in your browser, like in your Google search, www.kahoot.it, it'll show you a screen that says to input the PIN, and you're going to type in 488302, and then, it'll assign you an avatar, and your name will appear on the screen as a participant.
Can you see the questions on your phone, or you have to?
Yeah,
open?
you'll see the questions on the big screen and also on your phone. You're going to use your phone to answer.
Right.
You
So
said
he said you need 2 devices, right?
Right, your laptop and then your phone to answer the questions.
you said
So
God.
I'm still trying to join on my laptop. I've joined on my phone, but I don't know how to search for it on my laptop.
It's
You
not
use your
showing
iPad.
automatically.
What's the browser name again?
www.kahoot.it. It's to the left of the pin on the screen in front of you. If you can see the Kahoot screen is starting to populate with everybody's avatars.
Can someone read the code for me? I can see it on my phone.
488302.
488302. Thank you.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
Bob, do you have an iPad?
488.
I do. I have a Google Pixel tab that I'm using for
Well,
this
you want
meeting.
one device at Kahoot.it and one device at the Meet code.
All right. We have a lot of people today. So it's a good measurement of how well you are towards the board when you can, get in the top 5, 6, 7 out of those students present today. Okay. At this time, do we have anyone still not able to log in?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead, please. Let us know where you are in this process. I thank everyone for having your patience. I know Kahoot at the beginning can be a bit complicated, right? But once you get the hang of it, it's a fun game. Just remember that you answer Kahoot with your phone and you look at the screen. Go ahead, ask your question again, Francisca.
Do you have to pay for this?
No, it's free.
It's asking me for.
Yeah, it'll try and make you pay on Kahoot.com, but just ignore all that. There's a free option at like towards the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, free. Okay.
Yeah, I pay for this on my account so that I can host as many people I like to. So I pay for that. You guys don't have to pay.
I'm pretty sure I'll be able to see the questions on this on my tablet, and I'm logged in on my phone.
Yes, you will.
Through
And it's Kahoot.it, not Kahoot.com.
Perfect. Kahoot.it.
I'm in here, but it's not showing me anything. It's just coming up with a name.
Yeah, come up with a name. You can call yourself whoever you like to call. We got Ebony 20, PMHNP 25. We have Sarah, TH. We have tons of people. You can call yourself a number if you like. Didi.
Supergirl.
If you can see your name here, that you're good to go.
It came with golden
Okay.
elixir, but it's
I'm not for me. I'm still. I'm on the.
It's not letting me go in. It's not asking.
What does it say for you?
Comes up with the main screen. I want a home screen. It has a lot of different. It says create your first Kahoot. Is that it?
No, you're not creating anything. You're joining. You have to put a PIN code to join this game.
After you put the pin, it'll ask you to create a name, and if you see your name within this meeting, you should be fine. I see my name.
It didn't ask me.
Sounds like she's at Kahoot.com, wanting all that information.
Yes, man. So you have to go to Kahoot, www.kahoot.it or it.
Yeah, I went to that Kahoot.it. That's what I'm on.
All it has is an empty hole in the middle wanting a PIN number.
Access pass.
So I would log off out of your browser and put it again, www.kahoot.it.
Okay.
Remember, you have to do it on your phone, right? Because you got to press it.
Scan the barcode and it takes you right there.
That's an option too. If you scan your barcode, it should take you there. Then you put the PIN number 488302.
Yeah, it's only on my phone, but it's not letting me
Okay.
anything.
All right. So next time, come in a little bit early, and they'll help you out. You can still try to log in as we're playing the game.
Okay.
But I'll get started so that others too can play. Okay. Sorry about that. Couldn't be helpful this time. So let's get started, guys. Kahoot, you get points for being correct, but you get a little bit more points for being right. This is important because we are trying to see a question and answer from memory. Don't take it too long. Try to be as fast as you can. Now, try to be accurate. A thing about Kahoot is does not allow me to put a full answer. So the answer will always be incomplete. As long as you try to understand what I'm trying to say, is what matters here, okay? It will never allow me to put a full answer. So you would never see an answer like that on the test because it's incomplete answers, okay? Good luck, everyone. And let's see who's going to score the top 5 today. It's all about what we learned yesterday. So it should be a bit easier if you attended the class yesterday.
488.
$100 for the winner.
Usually I give just about that in a free course. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do like a $200 for the PMHNP Psychoform course off. So here we go.
Guys,
We have an answer already.
Please mute your phone.
Mute your phone kindly. Thank you, guys. practice what we said yesterday. Read the question, ask what's the core of the question, answer in your mind, and select an answer. All right, we have 7 seconds. Should be a pretty easy, hopefully. Okay, fairly easy. Most of you guys got it correct. So here we go. These are the fastest 5, I would say, right? So here we talked about identity versus role confusion. Question or tip for the board. Erikson stage. It's kind of one of the longest lectures individually that I have, maybe about 20 minutes, right? Because it's longer to learn and memorize it, but once you do it, you will never forget. So I really encourage you to stop on the lecture for the Erikson and really learn it and rewrite it, because you will get about 5-6 questions on Erikson. Tip number 1 on Erikson, age matters. If you know the age, most of the time, I have never seen not being that way, you can match the age to the answer. So that's tip number 1. Here we have identity versus role confusion. Yesterday we talked about being part of a gang and associating that because they don't have an identity, and that becomes their family, right? So the same thing here is identity versus role confusion, the fifth stage occurring during adolescent years. So if the question says a 17 years old, a 16 years old, you could almost 100% of the time identify, regardless of what the question says, this is identity versus role confusion. Of course, it's the default way of answering. The best is to know what identity versus role confusion is. Okay? So this one was pretty good. Trust versus mistrust. Remember, one is a bun. We went through this yesterday. I'm not going to go over today. We talked about the age group 0 to 1. Autonomy versus shame. We talked about shame in the car yesterday. If you haven't participated in a lecture, you may not know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. Then we have initiative versus guilt. Another high yield is the third stage occurring during preschool, 3 to 6 years old, right? So if the question says 5 years old, you could almost for sure point that to initiative versus guilt. Next question. So this is, she casts doubt about lasting and meaningful relationship. That's really 30 years old also, right? All right, you guys are super fast here. We have 30 answers right away.
You can't change your answers, huh?
No, if you were too fast, then you missed on that as well. Can't change.
Can
So
somebody post the code again, please?
can you repeat that?
The code, the Kahoot code
Oh, let's see.
on the text.
Oh yeah.
488-302.
488302.
Yes. So this is intimacy versus isolation. right? So typically, young adults, 20 to 35. How do we answer this question? It says 30 years old. Immediately, we would know with 95%, 99%
These three
confidence
questions that I should have gotten them right.
it is intimate versus isolation. I love what you said because those could, should, I love that you didn't get it right here because it's a learning experience, right? We can all learn from this so that it does not happen to us on the big day. So we have to, those are easy hanging fruits. Okay. Work hard, guys. Study hard, learn it so that
During,
you pass the
during
board right away.
during the question, you said shame, and that kind of just triggered me to. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
why I answered wrong. But that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. No worries. It's good that we get it wrong now, right? So we don't get it wrong on test day. So here we have psychodynamic, right? We covered this today, psychoanalytic, psychosocial, sometimes psychodynamic as well. One of the answer choice. I'm not saying it is the answer choice. Yesterday we talked about cognitive, just being the mind itself, the behavioral being the doing and relaxation and things like that, and cognitive behavior therapy, the connection between both types. So that would make 3 types of therapy, right? And this one, we talked about what's the reason of my existence. When you say things like that, it is existential psychotherapy that explores the meaning of life and choices, right? So we talked about that. We talked about cognitive behavior therapy yesterday, cognitive therapy. We talked about behavior therapy. We gave an example and we said, what is super high yield about cognitive behavior therapy? We talked about yesterday.
Dr. Lopez, I hate to interrupt again during class, but I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
say something. For someone with ADD, it's very distracting when you're talking about the question,
Okay.
reading it, to try and
okay.
give the answer as quickly as I can, because I am trying to answer as quickly as I can. But when you're talking about the question, it can be very distracting to me.
Okay.
I don't know
So
if anybody
yeah,
else.
so I'll go ahead and I won't do that. I'll talk about right after.
Or you
Let me
can hit
think.
mute. When the question pops up, hit mute.
Hit
That's
mute on
awesome.
Dr. Lopez? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good. Oh, okay. Maybe.
Yeah, I just want to make it give a little bit more of insight on few things that we talked about yesterday, but I'll keep that in mind.
It is a double-edged sword, because I do
It
feel like
is.
sometimes you give us the hint that we need to answer the question more quickly,
Mhm.
but sometimes when I'm like trying to read through and you're talking about it, it's
Okay.
distracting. But
Yes.
I didn't know I could actually mute you.
Yeah, no worries. So I just want to talk about what we talked about yesterday that was cognitive behavior therapy that was super high yield.
CBT, Aaron Beck, 1960.
Okay, what else? That's a one. What kind of things we ask them to do?
Cognitive restructuring.
Okay,
Journaling.
okay, that's cognitive restructuring. That's very good. We ask them our background, journaling, right?
Yeah, journaling.
Journaling.
Writing a journal.
Journal, you're writing a journal. These 3 things are super high yield. Okay. And okay, let's move on to the next question. 20 seconds. All right. So let's take a look on the answer here. Industry versus inferiority, right? Occurs in the middle school. So we could, again, use age to guide us towards the right answer. Focus on childhood needs that acquires important academic, social, and practical skills. Practical skills. Now, remember, Erikson, age is important, does not apply for Piaget, and less often talked about Sigmund Freud. But definitely doesn't apply to Piaget. Okay, so all right, industrial versus inferiority. This stage occurs between 6 and 12. It resolves around developing a sense of competency and industry. Right, child with who struggles may feel inferior and incompetent. I think the age was 6, right? On the question.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this one, it was cutting close.
But the industry versus inferiority was the confidence. That's why.
Okay. I did not quite read the question on this one, but the answer is correct. Correct. I didn't miss key.
Right. It's
My keyword was peers, and I finally caught up with that as soon as like he was comparing himself with his peers, and that kind of helped me.
Someone has a hot mic there. Mute yourself kindly. All right, so this one was a misleading here. I think I should have done a better job on the age group.
Yeah,
So I
the
do
age group
apologize.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, you
So
shouldn't.
this one,
Misleading
Yeah,
is
this-
just like the
Yeah.
test.
No,
Yeah.
I
but the age
appreciate you
group
being
does not matter.
misleading because it's just like the test.
Well, it wouldn't be on the test like that.
No,
No,
the
it
Yeah.
is.
age
So
group.
I've seen it.
No,
I
but the
feel
age
the first
group,
time.
the age
hold
group
on,
does
guys.
not have.
So I gave you an age that didn't
Fit.
match the description. So this was misleading. I highly doubt the test would make this kind of mistake. So I made a mistake here. So I actually have to write this down and correct it because on the test, I can almost assure you that would be a default, right? When it comes to Erikson, it matches the age. So I should have said a 5 years old here or 6 years old, up to 6. If it's right in the corner between 6 and 7, they could make the judgment, but they usually would have said this 5 years old and match exactly the description. So there was misleading for my part. That you apologize about that. But on the test, I highly doubt they would do this kind of mistake. Okay, I mean the test is revised, revised, and revised, uh, and name one person. So I made a mistake here. I think there would have been a better question if it said 5 years old and gave the description instead of 12. Okay?
Dr. Lopez, can you look at also number 3 because that I don't I missed it and the reason. Okay, you already started. Can you look at 3 as well?
Yeah, I'll look at that question in number 3. Write it down. All right. So integrity versus despair. If you looked at how we did this plate with the grits and the pear on top, uh, may ring a bell from yesterday. How we did the bag system, right? So yeah, think of someone sitting down at the porch in a beautiful southern farm and looking back at life and say, yeah, okay, I did some good things in life. I have no regrets. And if I died today, it would be okay. Versus despair, someone looking back and be like, wow, what happened? My kids did not turn out to be good citizens. I was selfish. All I did was about me, me, me. And now I'm here, right? So that would be the despair. So very realistic, right? I think we all go through those stages, and that's why I really like Erikson because I think I can see that in real life. Someone mentioned yesterday, I can look at my daughters and know where they at, right? It's important to look at our self examples, but I only understand that only works if we fit the picture, right? Which most of us would, but sometimes we may have an outlier, and I don't want that to lead to the wrong answer. All right, so very good. Now, same question. exactly the same question. Which of the following Piaget would this be? A. Sensory modem, pre-operational, concrete, or formal?
Pre-operational.
Pre-operation, right? Remember, imaginary friends.
Well, this
Right.
question is kind of where you told us the 2 times 2 plus 2.
Right.
Let's say, right?
Yes, but this would be Erikson, right?
Mhm.
He said,
So as it is. So
and he's 4 years old, right?
4 years old. 4 years old.
He's right at the beginning of that stage, right?
Okay.
Really
Moving
sick.
on.
Yeah.
This is a hard question. Somewhat.
If you find out you choose a wrong answer, there's no way of going back, right?
There is no way going back. Now, if it was almost the same question, but perhaps
Yeah.
give you age 7 and talked about not wanting to take risks, not knowing how to read, so feel inferior, then would be the next stage, right? That's why I said it could be a hard question if we didn't dialed in really well and knowing that this was initiative versus guilt. But you could almost make the case for industria versus inferiority, feeling inferior, inability of not being able to read, write, and comparing to others in the classroom, right? So we have to be careful here. Initiative versus guilt versus inferiority, um, industrial versus inferiority. We also talked about you don't have to memorize, let's say, 2 names, industrial versus inferiority. You can, if you want to save some brain power, just memorize one, and you would know that the other would come. They would never mix, right?
Well,
Is a way of doing it.
I kind of always remember that my parents always made me feel guilty, and that my peers always made me feel inferior. Like I would always compare myself against my peers, and that would make me feel inferior. But my parents would make me feel guilty.
Yeah. Okay. So we saw the age, saw the description, fairly easy. I'm sure that those that didn't get it right was a mistake picking the right answer, right? And if
Dr.
that,
Lopez,
go ahead, please.
sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make a quick comment or observation. I'm sure probably most, if not everyone, already is aware of this, but with test taking strategies, oftentimes when you're reading the stem, the correct answer will reflect a word in the actual stem. For example, it mentioned the word despair when describing the patient.
Mhm.
Obviously, age 75 was the biggest clue. But so
Yep.
when we're reading the stem on questions that maybe are not quite as obvious, we can, like in the previous question, you could match up guilt and guilt. It's not 100% accurate, but it definitely helps to be able to eliminate incorrect answers because you're looking for the answer to often be reflected. I'm sorry, the keyword is reflected in the answer that is the same as in the stem.
Yeah,
Just-
absolutely. Yeah, we cover that as well. It's a
Yeah.
way of doing it. So thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
All right. So we want to talk about a little bit on this before we go. Can I I'll ask some people here and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Senzi, you were at the class yesterday, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me, do you remember any examples from a sensory modem, like two things that we talked about yesterday that are important?
No, we talked about object permanence and object
Perfect.
constancy.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. What's the object permanent means? How would you describe that?
I'm trying so much. Okay, so I think the object permanence is when you show is it a toddler or a baby, the toys, and is there, but when it's out of position or out of sight.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Now, do you remember?
Mhm.
So, object, you said it perfectly. So, object permanency.
Permanence. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
you can see the cup behind me. The cup still exists, right? And
Yeah.
object constancy. What does it mean?
It's something about temporary. If the cup is gone temporarily, I'm not sure on that one.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. But we said the mother leaving the house to work. It
But I
doesn't
know
mean
she's coming back.
she's coming back. Now,
Doctor,
do you?
can you compare that to concrete operational real quick?
Yeah, 1 second there. Oh, definitely do. So, Sani, do you remember one psychiatric condition that often is tested
Oh,
on sensory
borderline,
mode?
yes, borderline.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
BPD.
perfect. So let me ask Kim. Kim, do you remember anything about pre-operation from yesterday?
Oh, hi. Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah. If you pre-operation, what are the high yield things?
Imaginary friends,
Okay.
pretend play like tea parties,
Tea
um,
parties, Barbies.
experimenting with different things or roles,
Okay,
and
perfect.
egocentric thought.
Oh,
Or
perfect.
think,
So what's egocentric thoughts? Give me an example.
The inability, because of the immaturity and the age, the inability to perceive another person's point of view. Their
Perfect.
point of view, because they're, egocentric, they're very young, they only see their own perspective as being important.
Okay. So
Well,
is imaginary frame a problem or is a thing that happens naturally?
no, it's totally healthy, and if you didn't see that, you might be concerned about autism.
Perfect. That's what I want to get. So autism doesn't have it what we would call object permanency, and that is theorized for the test, not really in practice. Nobody talks about that in practice because of the broken neuron syndrome. All right, thank you for
Mhm.
sharing. Now,
Well-
Kathleen, I think you were in class yesterday. May I ask you a question? if it's okay.
Let me see if I can answer.
Yeah, no problem. Who comes first? Well, yeah, who comes first? Concrete operational or formal operational?
Concrete, because concrete is
Concrete.
11.
Yeah, and the C is before the F in the alphabet, right? So give me
Yes.
one example of
Concentration,
a concrete.
concrete. Oh, yeah. So let's say if I go to, and I put some water in a cup. This was the
Okay.
example.
Okay.
If I freeze it, it remains the same.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
if I thaw it and I put it in a maybe a larger cup, it remains the same. It's the same volume of liquid.
Perfect. Now give me a good example of formal.
Formal operation is abstract thinking, doing research,
Okay.
forming hypothesis.
Perfect. So the high yield here is hypothesis, empirical thinking, or research is something much deeper than, hey, water is the same thing as ice, but in different format, right? So we covered like the most important topics from yesterday in a summary. Rob, you had a question there as well, or no?
It was just I think you just asked for a difference between concrete and sensor-motor that
Okay.
you verified through the glass example.
Okay. Perfect. So
Um,
remember, where people make a lot of mistakes is concrete versus formal, and that because they don't remember which one comes first, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know this one's the last," but oh, let's not miss points on easy questions, okay, guys? Just want to go over this because yesterday we talked about it a lot, and will be on your test. I can almost
Yes,
guarantee.
and also, can I say something? I
Sure, please.
remember you say, so Peter can fly.
So Peter can fly. So
Right.
thank you for that.
I went
So
on
what?
and said, so PJ. So for me to remember who is the father of this theory, I say, so PJ can fly.
Okay, so PJ can fly. Perfect, even better. I like that even better than the example that I.
and doctor, can you clarify real quick between you said autism and I forget which.
Yeah, so autism, they don't have imaginary friend.
They
When
right.
we
Okay, they don't have magical thinking, right?
they don't have, well, I wouldn't say they don't have magical, because magical thinking is the ability to imagine something and think that will happen. Imaginary friends is like, oh, okay, I'm playing with my Barbies and they're my friends, or more like talking by yourself and there is a friend there, like you serving a hamburger, you cooking, oh yeah, you're a customer, but there is nobody there. So that would be imaginary friend. Magical thinking is the ability to think, oh, we should get in a car accident, and they actually get in a car accident kind of idea, right?
It's a different kind of
Yeah, it is different. It's related but different, right?
Thinking.
Yeah, abstract thinking, it's totally different. That's actually a very good one. Abstract thinking, it's another concept that is very different. Is the ability to not be able to think concretely, or not be able to think abstractly, as in one with schizophrenia, right? They wouldn't be able to answer what does it mean that the grass is not always green on the other side of the fence, or if you live in a glass house, what does it mean that you don't throw stones, right? So if you, yeah, that's a good one. Okay. All right, let's move on because we have lots of questions today.
But just to clarify, autism does not
One
have
second.
imaginary friends, right?
Not that much. All right. So on it, almost all of you guys got it. If you don't understand this concept, please, it's important to get those easy hanging fruits. So sensory modem, right? We talked about birth to 2 years old, characterized by the sensory and modem exploration. So it's a good way to put it. Infants in the early stage learn about the environment through sensory and experience, reflex, actions, right? But remember that age here is not important, can be super misleading. And one example of misleading that we see on the test every time in a lot of stages, borderline, right? Where the therapist is gone and they absolutely feel left alone or betrayed, right? So age in Piaget, not important. Look at the description.
Dr. Lopez, I don't know why my screen is very slow to submit my answers. I don't know why.
I don't know. It may be an internet thing.
Well, I don't know why. That's why I'm coming to be delayed. Preconception. I know they submit them. Because
Eddie, your mic is hot.
oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're on it. Same subject, same thing that we're covering. Here's the rationale.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Watch this one. Getting confused between two possible answers. Can almost guarantee that not 100% of you guys will get it correct. Hopefully, I'm wrong.
I think we got it.
I hope so.
Either way, I'm thankful for you, Dr. Lopez.
Thank you. Prove me wrong. I wish I was wrong, right? I really wish, but this is a very common mistake. Like I see this every single time, every single day that I post the same question. Always, I'm unable to get 100%. So if you think of if it's a science project, hypothesis, it's formal. F is the latest. F for formal, is way after C, is the latest. If you are confused between concrete and formal, concrete, C, it's about conservability, ability to transform water into ice, or ability to skin glass with 500 ml, the same thing as in a cup of coffee with 500 ml, if there was such a thing, right? Doesn't matter the cup or the what's holding the water, it's the same 500 ml. So don't very likely that maybe somebody will miss this easy question. Concrete, C before F. F formal, science, empirical thinking, or abstract beyond the easy to see surface. Please.
I have a quirky mnemonic for this.
Please share.
Please, Rep.
Thank you. Muted.
Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Fruit.
Say it again, please.
Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Fruit.
Society for
Just
the
keep thinking
Prevention.
Of
That's
fruit.
more difficult than
Yeah,
so
I
so
like so
Peter
Peter
can
can
fly.
For some reason, I always remember glass of water, concrete. I don't know
Yes.
how I do it, but I just always remember
And whatever
water,
works,
glass,
so Peter can
concrete.
fly is the
Peter
example
can
that we
fly is
give.
better.
Yeah. So
That's
it's better. It is it's a elusive thing. So whatever sticks, it's better. So
Yeah.
there's no there is like so Peter fly. I like it, but I also can go back to so Peter can fly and remember which one's before and after. But I also like the C before the F because that's very easy to see. But what better? It's not a thing. Better is whatever works for you. So thank you for sharing that. It's always helpful. She always come up.
Even in Erikson's stages, how Poco can fool a cow is very helpful.
Yes, and we shared a few others yesterday on the class as well. So
How Coco can do what?
I'll come back to that. 1 second, guys. Come back to that. All right.
Not because of submission.
Much of the same thing that we're covering. Here's the rationale. Remember, age in Piaget not important. Look at the description.
I just saw the word complex. I was like, well, that's it right there. Formal.
Says hypothetic scenario, right? Abstract concept. So that should give you a clue of what might be the answer. All right. So I trust this was a fast finger that got it wrong. But I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anybody behind. If you want to speak of the reasons why you picked the incorrect answer, you can. Otherwise, moving on. Moving on. All right, pretty easy. Moving on.
Oh, hey, with your answer, it said growl, like GRA.
Yeah, sorry. It was
That's
might
what
have
threw
been.
me, and I didn't use. I would have answered A.
Yeah, that was incorrection from my part. That should be oral.
It was like growl.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so for this question, if one of the answers would have been genital, would that made you reconsider? Only for those that says yes, would that make you reconsider picking your answer here?
Yeah, I look for keywords like genital and stuff, so that might have.
So it's important that you don't, right? Because if I was making this test, I would have put in that answer choice because I would know that somebody would now pick that answer because it may sound familiar here, right? But no, this is all about self-discovery, the phallic stage, right? And the test may say something about like masturbation, or it may say something about touching their own body in some ways. And just know this is the it's not the same thing as what one would consider a sexual act to the intent or degree. Okay, it's important that we talked about this. It's weird. I don't like it. I hate this question. I always since nursing school I always hated this question because it's to my mind it's like unbelievable. But it is there. It's likely to be on your test, so it's important to talk about. Um, know the latency stages. Like, okay, now boys plays with boys, girls plays with girls. They don't really want to interact as much. And then you have the later stage that was more like towards adults, right? Now, I mean, boys are interested in different sex, if that may be the case, right?
The what stage? Can you repeat that?
So they basically interact in relationships, right? That will be that. But the phallic stage is about self-discovery. Okay.
The latency stage is the last one. Is what you're saying?
No. So the latency stage is the stage in which occurs between 6 and puberty, right? And then you have a puberty and up, which called the generous stage, which is characterized more of a adult-like relationship. Right? It's important that we get this right because it's a fairly easy question, and we don't want to miss those. There will be questions that are hard because they're very elusive. Those that are concrete, once you get it, there are easy points. So we don't want to miss them.
The phallic stage is akin to kids playing doctor, basically. They're just playing, they don't understand.
All right. So that's the core of cognitive behavior therapy, right? Correcting those patterns of maladaptive behaviors and switching them to positive ones, right? Rational thoughts. Right? Okay, perfect. Very good one, and one to know for your test, right? CBC, cognitive behavior therapy, daily mood journal, right? Something that we ask patients to do that all the time. Now, diary notes is akin to what psychiatric condition that's very prominent to be on a test, maybe?
Borderline
Borderline,
personality.
okay? Yes,
Yep.
I need you guys to know that, okay?
Can
I
you give
like it.
an example of Socratic questioning?
So, sorry. Yes. What do you think that is?
Socrates.
Exactly what I said to you, right? You ask me a question, I rephrase it to you. So basically, I am asking you to answer the question, I answer your question with a question. I said, what do you think that is? So that is Socratic question. So basically, it's a technique used to explore and challenge their irrational or negative beliefs through a guided question process. So basically, in teaching, we say when the student asks a question, instead of answering the question, I'll ask them the same question in a different way and let them answer the question.
Also, Dr.
So,
Lopez,
yes.
it says the Socratic questioning is a method of asking questions to stimulate critical thinking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's another way of putting, but it's usually some people ask questions that they already know the answer, but they are maybe not 100% sure. So instead of passively giving the answer, I'll rephrase the same question and put it back at them, and they'll be able to put it out and like, oh yeah, I actually know this, and help them to put it in a different words, or being able to explore what they already know, and that builds confidence, right? I do that a lot because I find that to be the best way of actually teaching. So. Right. Exposure therapy, right? We do that a lot for PTSD. So basically, the principle here is that the more you are exposed to anything in life, the better you get. and less uncomfortable you become, so therefore less stressful the situation becomes. So there are one of the things that have been involved is bringing soldiers back to Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Well, that sounds crazy. Well, maybe it is, but the being able to go back to an environment where they're stressed or things happen may help them to release some of the emotions and some of the repressed feelings and trauma of the past. So basically, it's life being being comfortable with the uncomfortable position, right? May sound
hang on a
crazy,
second before you
but
go.
getting on to the next question. That's sorry. Okay, so this is a good one, but I want to talk about a few things first before I move on here, real quick. Let me pick someone here. Uh, Rebecca, what's the definition between, if you would like to answer, obsession and what is a compulsion? Give me an example of each one. Break that down for me. What's obsession and what is a compulsion? If you're there, you muted.
I was muted.
Okay.
Obsession is behaviors or activities of a client to try to calm their needs. Compulsions are that they wash their hands. That's
Okay.
that's how they calm the need for worrying about germs, for worrying about touching things. So the obsession is the need, the distorted
Right.
thought, and the
Okay.
compulsion tries to calm it.
Okay. So in different way of saying, you're absolutely right. So the compulsion will be the thinking, the like, oh my god, the worrying, this is gonna happen. And the obsession will be the washing the hand, the physical activity to release the obsession, right? Now, which psychiatric condition is known to cause OCD?
Pandas.
Pandas, right? So it's very likely that you get a question on pandas. How often have I seen this in real life? Once. But books loves to say pandas. So you will likely to see a question on pandas, right? Now, what is the medication of a choice for OCD?
OCD?
It's a logo.
I'm saying, what class is not medication?
SSRI.
SSRI, right? Often at higher dose.
Higher
Okay.
dose of SSRI.
All right. So
Can you
now,
repeat which one?
SSRIs.
SSRIs?
Yeah,
I think
a class.
it's fluoxetine or something.
Yeah, you can do
Right.
Zoloft, you can do
Dopamine.
Prax, you can do.
Insulin, right?
So SSRIs is what's important. Now, one of the highest yield that I want you not to make a mistake, because somebody will. I'm telling you right now, somebody will make this mistake. They will look at the question, and the question says it's about OCD, but it describes tics, like blinking of the eye, as the compulsion, and then you will pick Tourette's or movement disorder. Don't do it. Read the question. Just because it has tics, it does not mean Tourette's.
Could you repeat that?
Okay, so we have a question will come up with the tick, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, this is
Just
Tourette's.
because
It's Tourette's." It can be OCD, Tourette's condition. So it can be OCD.
Dr. Lopez, I saw a question that said differential diagnosis with OCD. They didn't mention pandas, but it's tics. They mentioned as the correct
tics. Right?
So,
Tics, it ticks, because this can be OCD. I'm doing this to release my anxiety. This is my compulsion. And this can be will also be Tourette's. It can be tics. It can be
pandas.
Oh, Tourette's.
Well,
I'm sorry. Your accent
Tourette's.
is so
Yeah.
strong.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. So basically what I'm saying is don't jump into a movement disorder, and don't jump into a tic disorder or whatever without really reading the question, because this could be OCD. Okay? So please, I know I want to be wrong, and but this is likely to occur because what do we see? Oh, this got to be Tourette's, So
Tourette's.
now let's the other high yield point about tics. If you give a stimulant and the patient really becomes better, everything works. Eating, growing, learning, best kid ever. But develop a tic condition, movement, tics. You stop the medication because the question could present in a way that is just minor. There is no need to stop or decrease the dose or change to another stimulant. Your action is to stop the medication. Is that super, super clear? Yes? Go ahead if you have a question.
I just wanted to know what is aversion therapy?
So basically, aversion therapy, well, let me go back here because I have everything is written down.
Disulfiram.
Aversion therapy.
Disulfiram.
Disulfiram.
Well, yeah, that's actually a very good example. That's
Mhm.
an excellent example.
Oh my
right?
God.
But it can be more than that, right? So let's start from the beginning because I don't want to miss this point. Number one gold standard is not exposure response therapy for OCD. The gold standard is not that. So the gold standard is cognitive behavior therapy. So this why it was a bit confusing, right? But exposure and response therapy can be used and is very much used. Let's put that in the beginning, right? So basically what it is, exposing the person to what causes the distress until they become desensitized. Okay. Now, aversion therapy. I didn't have my screen on. Someone said disulfiram, right? So aversion therapy is a therapy that involves pairing an unwanted behavior with a aversion stimulus to reduce the behavior. So in the case of aversion therapy in medication, anti-abuse, because if you do it, you will pay the price, right? But in therapy, it's used to where a specific behavior needs to be discouraged. So anything that if you do this, this will happen in therapy. But it can also be said
Negative
to,
consequences is what you're saying.
yeah, anything that's going to preventing you doing, if you do it, it will be consequence. But in medication, anti-abuse would be the best example that we say all the time. So in the case of OCD, the compulsion hand washing is not typically addressing using aversion therapy because that is done to release the distress. Therefore, the option is not the most appropriate in this case. So aversion therapy is basically, it can be in different ways, right? It can be different example, but there will be consequences. Token economy is what I love. It's actually one of the most I use in my house, right? You do your homework, you get $5 a week, $10 a week, right? You read this book, I give you something. So I like token economy. That's one of the best. Positive enforcement. I put a lot of books, PDF in the course. Like, well, you finish this chapter on the psychopharmacology, you get this book, right? So things like that. And systemic desensitization, it was a hard one because it's like, wow, a lot of people is going to pick that. Because basically, desensitization is the behavior therapy technique used for primary anxiety to reduce the fear. Guess what? This was OCD, which is close to anxiety, right? It involves gradual exposure to a fear situation while learning relaxation techniques. So, all right, moving on because we do have a lot to cover. All right, here we go. Dialectical behavior therapy, right? We talked about this all the time. Marshall Lineham. So it should be EMDR, not I, right? Mistake there. Guys, 1 second, please. Okay. So EMDR, right? I'm not gonna hop on this a lot, but we talked about yesterday. You need to know the phase of EMDR. It's likely that they'll give you a scenario and ask you which phase is the patient in. So this could be one of the examples that you could read a little bit more beyond of what we provide, just for better understanding. Someone that has a hot mic, mute yourself, please. Okay, humanistic, right? Only humans can self-actualization and self-growth. Humanistic falls Carl Rogerian person therapy falls under humanistic therapy, right? All right, few more questions to go. We'll take a break after that. Okay. Anyone, if you'd like to, want to speak to why would you not pick self growth and self actualization so I can better help you? Right? So, uncovering unconscious conflict is what we cover today about psychodynamics, psychoanalytics, right? Um, Sigmund. So if you are confused, you can send me an email or we can discuss this in private as well. Okay. But I want you to pass the board. So it's important that you get it right.
I have a quick question. Sorry.
I can't stop now, but I will
Okay.
address the question immediately after. Okay. Hold that question, please. Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. So again, this is about Carl Roger, person-centered, client-centered therapy, right? Please ask your question there. You had a question earlier.
Yes. I was gonna ask, you probably explained it yesterday, but I was in and out of the class.
Mhm.
Is there a difference between humanistic and existential therapies, or are they one?
They're very humanistic and I'm sorry, humanistic and existential. Yes, humanistic and person-centered very close. So
No,
humanistic.
humanistic is another name for humanistic is patient-centered by Carl Rogers. Essential is Almond Lazarus. Is to actualize your reason, making you to come self-confrontation is self-confrontation,
Actualization.
yeah. Why am I here? You know, meaning why am
So
I here?
if you have your mic on, please mute so we can better understand. You are right. So what I was about to say is humanistic is a bigger umbrella than just Carl Roger. But a lot of people do use them interchangeably because they're very, very, very similar. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's the same, but it's very, very similar, right? When you think about humanistic, it's all about humans. And that is the bigger, as you say, dimension. some people would call Alzheimer, right? Because Alzheimer would be the bigger dimension. So the same thing would be applicable to say humanistic and Carl Rogers, right? Carl Rogers would be very, very the bigger umbrella of all the humanistics therapy, right? And the humanistic, you can call it Carl Rogers, and you can say it only humans can self growth and self actualization. Now, existential therapy is different, very different, because that is what is the reason of my life? What's the purpose? It's all about crisis, major depressive disorder, and sometimes substance abuse, right? So if you say existential, it's like I see this all the time, guys especially. Not to put out, all what I do is work and provide for the people that I work with. And I see tell a client that I had to hospitalize later. Basically, all what I do is work. Nobody cares how I feel. All the money that I get, I put it into the family and buy nothing for myself. If I die, she'll find somebody else, and I don't have a reason for existing. I can be gone today and nobody cares, right? So that's pretty much going through a crisis. I remember of him because like, wow, this textbook, right? So existential is pretty much a crisis. Carl Rogers is like, okay, you have done the Maslow hierarchies, you have met those housing, food, safety, water, shelter, finance, healthcare. Now let's focus on you being the best version of you. Only humans can self-actualization, self-growth. So now we're not worried about housing or car payment per se. We're worrying about you being the best version of you. Existential, it's like, let's keep this crisis under control, right? It's going a little bit deeper, maybe sometimes even confrontational a little bit, right? But hopefully that answered the question. And thank you for whoever jumped in and gave a great example there as well. Did that
Thanks
answer
so
your
much.
question?
You did. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover some of this here. So if you say logo therapy, right? So basically logo therapy uh, is a specific approach within existential therapy. So it focuses on helping them finding, hey, what's the purpose of my life? Why do I need to exist? Right? So it's the most aligned to address the patient expressed concern of the meaning of life and making this would be the best choice. Now, Gestalt, right? It falls more under of humanistic a little bit, and it does while it does correlate a little bit with existential concept and emphasize the here and now personal responsibility. Remember when they said it kind of confronts a little bit self-awareness. It also presents in the moment. Let's not worry about what happened in the past. Let's focus the here and now. What's the problem now, right? So hopefully that helps a little bit. And we're
Those two
moving on here.
paragraphs seem to say the same thing.
Say it again.
Those two paragraphs seem to say the same thing. Gestalt is about thinking about things in a whole, as a whole, and
As a
about
whole.
helping people with their existential questions and meaning of life and mortality. That's Gestalt.
Yes, yes, but it's more about here and now. Existential therapy in itself, it's about the crisis of life. But at which one it's more developed towards existential therapy. In this case, would be called the logotherapy, right? Which is focused on more deeply, will be more aligned with existential therapy.
Thank you, Rebecca, for bringing that up because that was my answer. Just thought I appreciate you saying something.
Me too.
I'm almost slow.
Somebody has a hot mic there. Right. So before we actually move on and address this question, let's kind of clear up some things here. Someone has a hot mic. So sorry. All right.
Hot mics, everybody.
So how is that Gestalt and logotherapy different or like? Let's take a look at differences. When you say logotherapy, it's primarily concerned with the search for meaning and purpose of life. So if you get a question with existential, pick logotherapy. It emphasizes the meaning and helps individuals find the meaning of their lives. Now, let's take a look at Gestalt itself, how they are different. It's the here and now, the present moment, the awareness, emphasize the here and now. It helps them to be more aware of the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in the present. Logotherapy, it goes back in a day, let's put it this way, and kind of reevaluates the meaning of my life. Now, how some of the concepts that we can say that logotherapy, it's the purpose, values, responsibilities that explore existential questions, right? And the human search for significance. Why? Gestalt, when you look at the concept of Gestalt, it focuses like awareness, contrast, boundaries, the whole Gestalt, and emphasize in the integration of fragmented aspects of oneself. But like you said, Gestalt is the whole, right? When you look at the logotherapy, is more of the past. Gestalt is the here and now. Some of the techniques used for logotherapy, we can even do paradoxal intentions, which is, hey, confronting the fear, or even we could say the reflection, shifting attentions away from oneself. The reflection, yeah. So Gestalt can use things like empty chair, role playing, focus on body sensation. So it's more again the here and now. So if you get the question that's related to existential therapy, pick Gestalt. Okay. How are they similar? They both.
Gestalt or logo?
I'm so sorry. I said logo. Sorry, I said Gestalt.
Okay.
Pick logo. Thank you. Thank you very much. That would have been terrible. So both therapy, they have roots on existential philosophy. So acknowledging the importance of experience, freedoms, and responsibility. So that's how they are alike. How else? Both of them also focus on growth, personal growth, kind of like well-being, increase of self-awareness, and helping individuals find fulfilling lives. Humanistic, they are also alike because they fall under the humanistics, right? They are considered humanistic. So, like I said, Carl Rogers will be like the number one of humanistic, but you have Gestalt and you have logotherapy. The emphasis the individual inherit capacity for growth and believe that people have the ability to heal themselves, right? Remember, we talked about all people are good, things like that. And they also address existential concerns. So, in summary, it's not that the Gestalt it is the incorrect answer. It's just not the best answer compared to logotherapy. Okay, Gestalt, the healing now, also the whole, right? And also confront the logo, more of the past, more of existential crisis. Both of them are very similar. Both of them fall under humanistics as well.
May I interject real quickly? I know
Please.
we're going on to the next one. I was just going to say existential, and so in regards to philosophy, it's a much broader picture. It's a broader scope. So with a question like that, the logotherapy is more applicable because it implies you're looking at, you know, a total experience. Like, what is my life about? What is the meaning of my life? What is my future? How did my
Perfect.
past form? And so the logotherapy is more applicable. Gestalt, like you said, is more in the here and now. So,
Here now. Yep.
yep.
Logo to the past.
So you can say logo to the past if that
Whatever
works
helps
for
you
you.
remember.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. All right. I guess that will be the last one for the day. Okay. So what I want to highlight here is that when you see a question for IPT, which is the interpersonal therapy, remember marital discord, couples fighting, marital discord. Do not pick couples therapy. Okay, because the answer could be couples therapy and interpersonal therapy. If it's addressing interpersonal discord, married to discord, pick interpersonal therapy. Very, very close, right? So one could make the case that couples therapy would be the right answer, but it's likely to be interpersonal therapy. Now, interpersonal therapy works well for co-workers, anyone that has discords in relationships. Okay.
Before
But it's
you
very
move,
tempting to move to take couples therapy. So, Kate, good job there. Well done.
thank you.
Betty. Woo, Betty is testing soon, so it's getting all the good kudos here. Yes. And the
Woohoo!
WT. Oops. So you did I say $200 for the Psycho Farm? So let's break it up. $200 Coach Betty 100, and there was Katie
Yes,
third.
it's me. It's
Okay,
me.
so
That's
$100.
me.
So just send me an email. That's
Oh,
towards
yeah.
your Psychofarm course. So that's yours. All right.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you.
yes, absolutely. So I got a little bit of time. So we'll take a break and we're gonna do some freestyle questions on things that are high yield for the board. Okay. So if you're tired of me for tonight, have a good night. I totally understand. Otherwise, I'll see you back at for a little bit. It won't be
Can
very
I
long.
ask a
So
quick question before you head out?
go
Quick
ahead.
one. Do you
Yes.
are these questions available in your question bank or?
Yes, they are. They are in the question bank.
Perfect. Thank you.
They are in the question bank. So you can practice over 1,400 questions in the question bank. We have a specific one that's very focused on the test. And we have a broad one that is very odd and uncomfortable that will get you in trouble. So basically, we're getting you ready for whatever comes, right? You can, and I would highly suggest that you guys practice both at least twice. I know I'm asking a lot, but I'm asking for a good reason so we can maintain this 99% passing rate so that we don't get nervous on a test date. The more you do now, you pay dividend on your test date, okay?
I'm trying to access the question bank and I can't access it. Or
Okay.
yeah.
Please send me an email because then my wife will respond, reset your password, and send you a video how to. Okay. Because that way she can respond. That it's a bit complicated. It's in a different website. It requires a different set of password, but I can reset your password and send you a video exactly what you click and what you go. Okay. So we'll come back here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we'll go ahead and do some freestyling questions for a few minutes or maybe half an hour. If you gotta go, I totally understand. Otherwise, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay?
Thank you.
See you later. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.